Me, Naja'atu Tijani. We begin with breaking news. The leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has been rearrested. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, made this known to journalists on Tuesday, revealing that Kanu is now back in Nigeria to continue his trial. Femi Okewu reports.
So tight is the security under which he came to the Federal High Court that getting a clip of him was impossible. Of course, the explanation of the security agencies that brought him back to the court after 3 years of his absconding is that they would do nothing to endanger his health and well-being so that he can come and continue the trial for which he jumped bail in 2019. At the court, presided over by Justice Binta Inyako, the prosecution made an application for him to be remanded. Their argument is that based on his antecedent, he should be remanded before the trial commences. And Justice Binta Inyako granted that application and gave 26th of July for the commencement of the trial. He is going to, at least for now, continue on the 11th count charge for which he was initially arraigned in 2015 up till 2019. Now, before then, the Minister of Justice, and accompanied by the Inspector General of Police and other security agencies, explained circumstances under which Nnamdi Kanu was rearrested.
Based on the same date over his failure to appear in court for hearing. He has, often jumping bail, been accused of engaging in subversive activities that include inciting violence through television, radio, and online broadcast against the Nigerian state and institutions. Kanu was also accused of instigating violence, especially in the southeastern Nigeria, that resulted in the loss of lives and property of civilians, military, paramilitary, police force, and destruction of civil institutions and symbols of civil authorities. Self-acclaimed leader of the proscribed secessionist indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has, for your information, been intercepted through the collaborative efforts of the Nigerian intelligence and security services. He has been brought back to Nigeria in order to continue facing trial after disappearing while on bail regarding 11-count charge against him. Recent steps taken by the federal government saw to the interception of the fugitive Kanu on Sunday, the 27th day of June 2021. Inanne Kanyi Nnamdi Ngozi Chukwu Oku Kanu was born on the 25th September 1967 at Afrauku, Abia State, Nigeria, and indeed a holder of Nigerian passport number AO A051368827, first issued on the 17th October 2013 at Festac, Lagos. For your information, distinguished members of the press, Kanu is as at now being produced before Federal High Court in continuation of hearing of his case in respect of which he has evaded and indeed jumped bail.
On the legislative front, the Senate has received the report of its Joint Committee on Petroleum Upstream, Downstream and Gas on the Petroleum Industry Bill 2021. The report, which captured submissions received from various public hearings, consultations and the committee's recommendations, has been scheduled for consideration on Thursday this week, as announced by the President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan.
And we will be considering the report on Thursday. So we have today, we have tomorrow, and up to the morning of Thursday, to look at the report, so that when we consider the report, we'll be doing so on the basis of what we have been able to read from this very important report.
The Senate has also confirmed the nomination of Kolawole Oladipupo Alabi for appointment as Executive Commissioner, Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Meanwhile, the senator representing Zamfara Central, Hassan Muhammad Gusau, has resigned from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, citing collapse of internal democracy and factionalization of the party as his reason. The 2021 supplementary budget of 895.8 billion naira transmitted by the executive to the National Assembly will be passed 2 weeks from now. Also to be passed within the same period are the Petroleum Industry Bill and the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The Speaker, House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, after reading the presidential communication seeking the approval of the supplementary appropriation, gave assurance to Nigerians that the 3 key legislations will be passed before the legislators commence the annual summer break.
A heavy load, including the supplementary budget. 2 weeks is a very short time, but we must do this work and we must do it thoroughly.
Similarly, the House of Representatives Finance and Banking Joint Committee, investigating more than $30 billion annual revenue leakages, has again stressed its determination to block loopholes and address foreign exchange infractions. The Joint Committee stated this while listening to presentations by banks allegedly involved in the leakages. Dayo Ogunshola reports.
Among the issues raised by the committee were concealment and non-disclosure of crude oil lifting due for taxation, multiple allocations to holders of foreign inflow certificate of capital importation, and disappearance of naira proceeds of foreign inflows from accounts of Nigerian beneficiaries, among others. The committee vowed to extensively review all identified infractions.
Export proceeds for both oil and other commodities repatriation by exporters meant to reflate the economy, which were diverted by selling directly to other customers without corresponding taxes paid. The committee will be starting with all the banks that hold the accounts of all the foreign companies. These measures shall in foreseeable future lead to plugging all revenue loopholes towards saving the country from recurring upsurges in foreign exchange rates.
Representatives of the invited banks say large number of transactions mentioned did not attract withholding tax, and where applicable, evidence of tax receipts are available.
Withholding tax for purposes of this amount that has been alleged here applies only to dividend remittances and interest on loan repayment as guided by Foreign Exchange Miscellaneous Act and the FX Manual.
The committee has adjourned till next week for continuation of the investigation. From the National Assembly, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
Thank you, Dayo. I'll now hand over to Kende in our Lagos Network Center for more.
Hello, Najatu, and welcome to Lagos. Nigerian youth who are desirous of the future must resist every temptation to abuse drugs, both in their own interest and for the sake of societal well-being. The flag officer commanding Western Navy Command, Admiral Jason Bassa, gave this warning outreach organized by the Command for Primary and Secondary Students in Apapa, Lagos. Adini Taiwo completes the report.
Delivering on its corporate social responsibility is one of the ways that the Nigerian Navy Western Naval Command has adopted to promote its military-civil relations. Pupils and students of Emmanuel Anglican School, Marine Beach, Apapa, are the new beneficiaries as the Flag Officer Commanding Rear Admiral Jason Gbassa gave out medical items and other supply as part of this year's medical outreach.
Alcohol, cigarettes, that nicotine, and marijuana. Most people that are going into drug abuse start with these three first.
Beyond the gift items, this health talk on the danger of drug abuse offered during the outreach held a lot more significance for Gabriel Edoni, a senior secondary class 2 student of the school who is now more aware of the danger posed by substance abuse to her future.
I think a person can never have a future while taking drugs because starting to take drugs at this young age, it's going to affect us academically and in our career.
When you take drugs, it can damage your system and it can short your life.
The Flag Officer Commanding is emphatic that the battle to wrest the future of Nigerian youths from the scourge of drug abuse must begin now when they are most vulnerable.
If we don't get it right at that point, if people come in to the Navy with a problem of drug abuse or drug use, negative drug use, then it will impact on our own operations.
And these children in hiding, they do a lot of things without their parents monitoring them.
COVID-19 protocols preempted other regular activities of the annual medical outreach, including free medical treatment. In Lagos, Adini Taiwo, NTA News.
The government of India says the country is ready to work with Nigeria in the production of COVID-19 vaccines over the next few years. High Commissioner of India to Nigeria stated this at the ambassadorial forum organized by the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs in Lagos. Lineke reports.
The relationship between India and Nigeria is one that has lasted for decades as both countries have benefited immensely from each other, particularly in the areas of economy, politics, agriculture, defense, and the entertainment sector. The need to improve of both nations and foster a better relationship informed the gathering of both diplomats. The High Commissioner of India to Nigeria highlighted some factors responsible for the rapid growth of India and some Nigeria can learn from the High Commissioner said, as the world's largest democracy and fifth largest economy, India's strength lies on its diversity and tolerance of various religions as the binding factor of its growth. He reiterated India's commitment in capacity building in Nigeria.
Supportive of industrial production facilities of vaccines across Africa. This is something that is being discussed in WTO framework as well, and we would be happy to work.
It's safe that we are not able to all the vaccines we need, but the greater is that we can come in country.
Work together, shared experience, and it's shared. In terms
nationwide, and we apologize for the poor signals from Lagos. We'll take a commercial break. There'll be more news after.
use of drugs and arms with direct consequences on national security. That is our focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week, with those who should know. Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. It promises to be incisive and educative. Don't miss it.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support, yes, by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Thank you for staying tuned to Nationwide. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Sokoto Zonal Office has arraigned 5 management staff of the State Primary Staff Pension Board for allegedly diverting more than 500 million naira meant for payment of pension and gratuities of retired primary school teachers. They were arraigned before the Sokoto State High Court 7. Alhatu Abdullahi reports.
The suspects arraigned before Sokoto State High Court 7 by the EFCC include Executive Secretary Abubakar Aliyu, Director of Finance Hassan Amoyi, Deputy Director of Finance and Supply Haliru Ahmad, Accountant of the Board Kabiru Ahmad, and Cashier Dahiru Muhammad Isa. The prosecuting counsel, Saad Hanafi Saad, told the court that the suspects had used forged vouchers to divert over 500 million naira instead of paying the retirees their gratuities and pension. The staff were arraigned before the Sokoto High Court on a 27-count charge bordering on forgery, criminal breach of trust, and misappropriation, contrary to sections 92 subsection 2, 311 of the Penal Code, Law Cap 89, Laws of Northern Nigeria, and sections 351, 353, 348 of the Sokoto Penal Code Law 2019. Although all the suspects pleaded not guilty, the prosecuting counsel prayed that the court commence hearing on the matter, but the prayer was objected by the defense counsel, A.Y. Abubakar, saying the defendants had the constitutional right to be given time to defend themselves. Another issue that generated heat was the prayer by the prosecuting counsel that the court remanded the suspects in the correctional service, but the defense counsel objected the prayer, saying the suspects had never been convicted by any court of law and will not jump bail. The presiding judge, Muhammad ruled and granted the suspects bail in the sum of 55 million naira each. One surety a like sum, and the surety must be a resident of Sokoto with landed property in Sokoto.
It's for the court to consider one way or the other whether to grant them bail or to refuse the said bail, and he has granted them bail, so we have any issues.
Counsel to the suspects declined comment when contacted by NTA News. The presiding judge, Muhammad, adjourned the case to 26th of July 2021, when hearing in the case is expected to commence. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Let's now join Amina in our Kaduna Network Center for stories making the rounds. Good evening, Amina.
Good evening, Najatu. Welcome to Kaduna. About 170 people from the 23 local government areas in Kaduna State have been enlisted as independent monitors for the federal government social investment program. The idea is to ensure prudence in the implementation process. Haruna Mohammed reports that those recruited were served with appointment letters and necessary logistics to ease their jobs.
Since the introduction of social investment program by the present administration, Kaduna State is in the forefront among beneficiaries, with more than 1 million people in 9 local government areas benefiting from conditional cash transfer and Empower. The programs have gone a long way in lifting sizable percentage of households from poverty and providing job opportunities for unemployed. In addition, more than 4,000 primary schools have been enrolled in the school feeding program, which significantly increased enrollment figure from 40 to 90%. However, the implementation of this program have been contending with challenges. In an effort to address such challenges, federal government adopt a more pragmatic approach in ensuring implementation of transparent social investment program through due diligence. This informed the recruitment of about 170 monitors in Kaduna State. Bala and Maltida are among lucky people enlisted into the program.
The beneficiaries we are going to work with them, and we are going to feedback the ministry on what we have seen in the field.
Through these tablets, I'll be able to go to my place of duty, and to help me to make my work to be very easy.
Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management believe this will help in providing accurate data for the ministry.
We are expecting them to go back to the field and then ensure they take their job seriously and diligently, and they report back, which in turn will help the ministry in evaluating the success or otherwise of our programs.
They are domiciled in the respective local governments, and they are able to use technology to provide feedback both to the national ministry who is funding these programs, and for us, the state government that is implementing.
Those recruited are to serve for the period of 1 year. In Kaduna, Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
Chief of the Army Staff, Major General Farouk Yahya, has tasked troops deployed to various theater of operations to remain resolute in the ongoing fight against insurgency, banditry, and other crimes until victory is achieved. The Army Chief stated this in a message to the Combined Directorate of Army Physical Training held at the Nigerian Army Depot, Zaria. Muhammad Umar Ajingi reports.
A display of physical fitness and prowess by personnel of Nigerian Army, in line with the Chief of Army Staff vision to build a professional army that is ready to accomplish a assigned mission.
The Physical Training Directorate has made tremendous impact in recent times.
Enhancing fitness training for operational readiness in the Nigerian Army, Major Farouk Yahya says will be accorded priority to enable the forces deal decisively with threats to national security.
Okay, the message for the bandits I will take is for them to know that Nigerian Army personnel are not just conceptually sound, but they are also physically sound to pursue them wherever they are.
The Army Chief acknowledged the combat readiness of the forces in decimating all criminal elements. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Naja'atu in Abuja.
Thank you, Amina. A prolific and sustainable food system is critical to the nation's human capital development, says Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, as he declares open the consolidatory dialogue for the United Nations Food System Summit holding in Abuja. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
A population of over 200 million, and 50% of this population are children. Nigeria is one of
voices from young Nigerians contributing to the discussion before the policymakers and implementers and other stakeholders. The consolidatory dialogue is to examine all the critical issues identified at the various dialogues on food system in the country and make inputs and suggestions to improve on the report of the various dialogues that has been synthesized into 3 and 10 years implementation plans, as well as agree on a roadmap for the revolutionary food system needed for the nation. Declaring open the dialogue, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo expresses concern over the increase in malnutrition cases in children, leading to diseases and, in most cases, death.
So it's now up to us from here on to own the process and be ready to translate the recommendations of these dialogues to prompt action. This would mean embracing the challenges required in modernization of farming practices, and we also heard even from the children that mechanization is absolutely important. The reduction of post-harvest losses is another critical issue. And we must ensure that we practice environmentally sustainable production. We must empower our communities by creating jobs and livelihoods to sustain the food systems that we desire.
Collective efforts to transform the challenge to better and quality living must increase, the Vice President says.
For the government of Nigeria, our commitment to sustainable food systems is one of the key strategies for eliminating poverty across Nigeria. We know that our target of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty within a decade is achievable only if we focus on substantially improving agriculture and food systems, which assures us not just of good food, but also decent jobs. This perspective on addressing hunger, malnutrition, and poverty runs through all of our policy frameworks, including the recently launched National Poverty Reduction and Growth Strategy.
Vice President Oshimbaju also presents a publication on Nigerian food systems mapping report to state governments across the 6 geopolitical zones. The report presents findings on the obstacles to making food available and accessible to people in an efficient and sustainable manner. Security constraints to agriculture, especially in the Northeast and other vulnerable areas. The findings also include food safety issues and prevalence of malnutrition, as well as state of food production in each region. In Abuja, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Now let's see what Agatha has for us from our Benin Network Center. Hello, Agatha. Network Center. Obaseki has unveiled a 2.0 education reform and transformation revolution for the Edo Basic Sector Transformation, popularly known Edo Best. It is to capture secondary and tertiary schools in the state to benefit from successes of digital teaching and in primary schools through Edo Best 1.0. This was at a result sharing session to commemorate the 3rd year anniversary of Edo Best. Elizabeth Omoko reports.
The results sharing section gathered stakeholders in the education sector to evaluate the performance of pupils after 3 years of launching the project.
Your Excellency, sir, when we leave primary school, we are going to secondary school, which is not in good shape at present. What will happen to us then, sir?
Governor Gordon Obaseki, who believes in a digitization of the education system and the reform of the basic education sector, says the sector needs to accelerate from the 1.0 to 2.0.
We have made progress, but we're not where we want to be. We need to accelerate. We don't have time. Our kids are now learning better. They're about 70% of their colleagues in Europe and Asia. We want to extend this transformation throughout the entire educational chain.
Our teachers are now coming to school. When they come to school, they are teaching. When they teach, the kids are learning. And on our own, from the back end, we are also assessing what are the indicators to show that these kids are learning.
With the 3 years of improved learning and the new steps taken by the state government, the governor says there must be an all-inclusive ownership of the sector. From the state government house, Elizabeth Omoko, NTA News.
And as INEC commences continuous voters registration exercise nationwide, some electorate and political leaders in Edo State are optimistic that with the introduction of the online registration and level of political awareness in the state, many prospective voters will be captured during the exercise. Judah Bugu visited some registration centers in Benin and now reports.
The exercise, which targets mainly Nigerian citizens who recently turned 18 and those that could not register during the last exercise, commenced with online registration this Monday. It is combining both online and in-person capturing processes. This will enable those whose voters' card have been damaged or misplaced to apply for replacement. Some electorate in the state who said they are already aware of the exercise want those concerned to take advantage of the the exercise to register and update their records with INEC.
If you not register, you cannot vote for your choice.
They're not going to use money to buy your conscience if you get your own voter's card.
Some political leaders in the state commended the INEC for the introduction of the online registration process, which they say makes the process easy and convenient. They, however, appealed to political, religious, and community leaders to help in mobilizing people for the exercise.
It is for us to also go back to our base and encourage people in that bracket to go and register so that they can perform their civic responsibilities.
The exercise, which commenced only with the online process, will also enable people to transfer their voting states and polling units through the registration portal. In Benin, Jude Abugu, NTA News.
And that's it here. You're on. Thank you, Agatha. And now the moment all sports lovers have been waiting for. I'm handing over to Bade Adele, who will be telling us more about the Euro 2020 England versus Germany match.
Many thanks, Najatu. And of course, welcome to the live studio, NTA Live Studio, for the match between England and, of course, Germany. It's going to be a matter of big rivalry. Revenge will be on the cards. And, of course, we're going to see the the battle for the bragging rights. So it's going to be a really tough encounter today. Do not forget, it's the round of 16 match of the Euro 2020 European Championships, popularly known as Euro 2020. We'll be back just after this break. Do stay with us.
The much anticipated UEFA Euro 2021 is finally here. Can Portugal defend the title they won 4 years ago as they face world champions France, Europe giants Germany, Spain, Italy and England? Catch all the action via live transmission, in-depth studio analysis, fixtures, results, updates, and lots more on NTA, Africa's largest TV network. For sponsorship and advert placement, contact Bola on 080-37-044-286 or Idris on 080-34-633-644. This broadcast is proudly brought to you by NTA in partnership with Media Business Solutions, MBS Sports.